Are you stuck in overwhelm? Are you feeling paralyzed and you can't move forward? You don't know where to go or how to get to what's going to bring you greater happiness, fulfillment, or success in your career? Well, take a listen. I'm going to walk you through all of the reasons why I see my clients in overwhelm when we first start working together, and the tips and tricks on how to move through that overwhelm, gain clarity, and actually start moving towards your goals. Hey there, welcome. It's Shannon from Shine Bright Coaching, and we created this channel to offer tips and tools and resources from our 10 years and working with thousands of clients to find more meaning and fulfillment in their career and to build more intentional career paths. So welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay, so the number one thing that I hear when first talking to potential clients is I'm overwhelmed. It is the, feeling that comes up in every phone call that I have, in every conversation that I have, is overwhelm. And so I thought that I would, create a video on, from my perspective, talking to so many people and working with so many clients, why is overwhelm this prominent feeling that people are getting stuck in? What's causing it? What are some of the things that people are doing that are maybe making it worse? And then what is, our tips and my advice on how to kind of get out of that overwhelm and start to, take action and move forward. So that's what we're going to dig into today. So first off, what is overwhelm? I think sometimes that people are confusing stress and overwhelm. Stress can actually be a pretty healthy emotion. It can often fuel us to be productive, to take action, to be motivated. Sometimes we need that kind of urgency and that feeling of like, okay, things need to get done, or, oh gosh, the deadline's coming, or whatever it is. Overwhelm is when the nervous system becomes dysregulated, where you no longer are able to access your ability to think clearly, to make logical decisions, to take action. You're really just coming from your place of survival, right? Those instincts, those old behaviors, those patterns that oftentimes aren't healthy, aren't helpful, and that can actually cause us to stay stuck in those patterns of overwhelm. So being able to recognize when you're in stress and when you can actually still take action and still get things done and move forward. And then when that stress actually heightens and increases and you're in overwhelm and you're no longer able to function and you're, emotionally kind of distraught. So those are kind of the differences between stress and overwhelm. So what are some of the things and reasons why people are getting stuck in overwhelm when they're trying to navigate their career, when they're trying to figure out their career paths and figure out what they want and, create success and happiness in their life? So the first thing that I see is people are stuck in overwhelm when they can't see a path forward. What I mean by that is they know they're unhappy. They know that there's more out there. They know they want something beyond what they currently have, but they don't know what it is. They have no idea what they want or what would be good for them or what the options are. They're, kind of overwhelmed by what they're seeing, and they have no sense of what would be good for them, what would be a good fit. And so it's this feeling of like, I don't want to be where I'm at, but I don't know what else I want or how to get out of where I am. The second thing that I see getting people stuck in overwhelm is they have a clear vision or they have a goal that they're really excited about or inspired by, but they don't know how to get there. They don't know the steps to take, and they're feeling overwhelmed by, I know what I want, I can see it clearly, but I have no idea how to get there. And I think a few things contribute to this. One is they see the goal, which is, step Z, and they're at step A, and they want to be able to get from A all the way to Z instantly, right? There's like an impatience of like, okay, I know what I want, so I should be able to be there today, yesterday, right? And they're not recognizing that there is, a lot of learning and growth and alignment that happens when you take B, C, D, E. And so there's an urgency to kind of get to where they want to go. but they don't know the steps to take. They're being impatient, and then it kind of has them spinning their wheels and using their energy unproductively, and it actually heightens the overwhelm, and that can lead to increased stress and feeling like I'm never going to figure this out, or it's never going to happen, and people get stuck again. I think also when you have a clear sense of a vision or a goal that you're excited about, but you've never seen anyone else who's taken that path or has made that happen. Maybe you're the first person in your family who wants to step out of, a traditional career path, or, you have bigger goals or dreams than the, friends and family that are around you. And you don't have any mentors or kind of examples for how to get to, from where you are and your current life circumstances to kind of this bigger life, this bigger dream and bigger goals that you have for yourself. The third factor that I think can really contribute to overwhelm is too many choices. So we live in a time where we're so lucky, in terms of how we, have job boards and online portals to be able to see all the different opportunities. We also have social media, so we can see all these different career paths and professions and different jobs and paths that people have taken. And there's so much out there. There's so much information. And I think people often are a little paralyzed by where do I even begin to know which of these paths? There's so many. How do I know which one's actually going to be good for me? How do I know which one's actually going to lead me to the type of life I want, or to the happiness and fulfillment and success that would actually feel fulfilling to me? How do I actually know which of the factors really matter? How to make a decision? How to really hone in out of all these options, the paths that are actually going to be good for me, aligned with who I am, and have sustainability in terms of I can actually see myself, staying there and building a future and all of those. And so seeing all the options, being inspired by all the options, excited about what's out there, but not knowing, how do I choose, right? How do I pick? How do I know which one? And then getting overwhelmed and then getting stuck and often paralyzed. So I think that's the cycle that I see happening over and over, is that these factors of not having a path forward, not having a vision or a goal that you're excited about, having a vision but not sure the steps to take, or just being overwhelmed by options. All of these actually start to have people spinning their wheels, getting stuck in overwhelm, where, again, remember, overwhelm is where we can no longer function, right? We're not actually taking action anymore, and we get stuck and we get paralyzed, and then people just kind of go back to the status quo, right? To their job or their routine or their old habits and patterns, and they stay stuck and paralyzed, and then the cycle repeats itself over and over again. So what do you do? How do you figure this out? How do you get out of that cycle of overwhelm? How do you get yourself unstuck, gain clarity, and actually start moving towards building the life and the career that you really want? Okay, so if you are in the category of you're unhappy, you don't like where you're at, you want something different or something more, but you don't know what that is, here's what I often see people doing that isn't really helping the situation. So they'll go to the job boards, right? They'll go to LinkedIn or Indeed, start scrolling around, kind of seeing what else is out there. And then they start seeing oh my gosh, there's so much out there. How do I know what I want? I don't know if I want any of this. What do I like? What do I not like? And it leads to greater overwhelm. I also see people getting on social media and they're seeing so-and-so's doing this, or these people have it all figured out, or everyone I went to college with has this amazing, beautiful life and I'm behind, or I'm falling short. None of these things. So looking externally, looking outwards to what other people are doing, and then feeling oh my gosh, I don't have that. I'm not there. I don't know what I want. None of those paths actually help someone gain clarity. So here's what I would suggest. It's about taking a pause, and rather than looking out there, it's about coming back to self and really doing some self-reflection and really starting to ask yourself some of these bigger questions about what brings me joy? Where do I feel most satisfied? What lights me up? Where do I feel most impactful? What strengths do I feel like I uniquely bring to the table? Where have I been successful in the past, right? Really digging in and asking yourself some big questions, reflecting on, what you care about, what matters to you, who you uniquely are, helping yourself to kind of build a greater foundation of understanding yourself, what matters to you, what you uniquely bring to the table, and then starting to look outward, right? Because when we start with the self-reflection, when we start with building a more solid foundation of understanding ourselves and what we want, when we then look outward, we have a better honing mechanism. We have a better radar for those things that are actually on the same frequency, that are aligned with what we want and who we are. It helps us to edit. It helps us to, get rid of distractions or things that aren't going to be a good fit for us, and to really begin to hone in on what's actually going to be the best fit for us. Caveat with this, I think oftentimes people, start to do this self-reflection, and they start to kind of dig into what they want and what matters to them. And then immediately they think that should illuminate their passion or their full life's purpose. And I think that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself and to put on this particular period of your life. So if you're just beginning to do this type of work and to reflect on what you want, the goal is to start to begin to make steps to get in alignment. So if you're really unhappy with your job and you're really feeling stuck and you want something different, and you start to self-reflect and you start to gain some clarity, then maybe you start to have a sense of like, ooh, this sounds more appealing, or this feels like it would be a better match. And you take one step forward that puts you on a path that's closer to who you are, that's closer to what you want, and that might not be the end destination. That might not take you all the way to the finish line, but it gets you closer. It allows you to gain more information, exposure, to grow, to learn, and that will then inform the next step that will take you even closer. So allowing some space, right? Allowing yourself to take multiple steps in this path, and with each step bringing greater intention, greater clarity, and getting yourself closer and closer to what you really want. Okay, so if you actually have a sense of where you want to go, you have some big dreams, you have some big goals, but you're feeling overwhelmed by like, how do I get there? It seems like I'm so far away from where I want to go. So here's what I often see people doing that doesn't work and actually can increase the overwhelm. So one is like taking a bunch of frenzied action, right? Like taking a bunch of steps, oftentimes going too far, too much, too fast, and it can burn people out. It can overwhelm. It's almost like trying to put a roof on a house before you put the foundation. You're putting too much pressure on the structure, and there isn't a solid foundation underneath it. And so it's like too many frenzied action, trying, like I said, you're at A and you're trying to take steps at like Q and R and S, when really you need to be focusing a little closer to A. The other thing I see is you have this dream, you have this goal, you're super inspired, and you spend all your time envisioning and imagining and just being lost in that. And listen, being able to really connect to our visions and our intentions, our goals is a huge part of, creating the life and the career that we want. But just sitting there and not taking action, not putting one foot in front of the other, not actually moving right out of where you're at and, putting a toe out of the comfort zone will keep you stuck and keep you in overwhelm too. The other thing that I think doesn't help in this situation is the imposter syndrome. So feeling like, I have this dream, I have this goal, but like, who am I to achieve that? That's for other people, or I don't have what it takes, or, I don't success like that, or having a life or a career like that is for other people. That's not for someone like me. And so getting stuck in, feelings of, imposter or a lack of self-worth, or feeling like you're not good enough, and, that contributing to the overwhelm and keeping you stuck. So my advice, if you have a clear goal, clear vision, but you're feeling overwhelmed by like, how do I actually get there? What do I need to do? Here's the key. You take 1 or 2 steps forward. You don't have to have the full plan. You don't have to know every step at the beginning. You just need to know, what's one thing I can do? What's 1 or 2 action steps I can take this week, right? Or today, and trust that with each step taken forward, you learn, more information appears, new connections emerge, information that realigns you or moves you in a new direction comes into play, right? And so this is a trust game. It's like, okay, you hold the vision, you see where you want to go, you decide to take one step forward, even if it's a tiny baby step. Take one step forward, and here's where the trust in, and this is a little woo-woo, but the universe, or whatever you want to say it is, then will do its part to bring in information, guidance, support, anything you need to then be like, okay, now here's the next step. Right? And here's where people get tripped up, is they want it immediately. They want the clarity immediately. They want to get from where they're at all the way to the big goal, the big money, the big dream, the success immediately. And they don't want to put in the work or the time or the effort to take all those small steps in between. But that's where the good stuff is. That's where the learning and the growth and the ability to make sure that we're on the right path. Sometimes we can have a goal or a vision at the beginning, and as we're taking these steps, that goal or vision may change or shift or realign. And if we're just like so focused on that goal and holding on to that and trying to get there immediately and trying to skip over steps, we may miss that we are trying to get moved in a new direction, or that goal is actually not quite right and there's something else that's appearing, but we're missing it because we're so focused on getting there and we're not present. We're not, in the process, open to the learning, open to the unfolding of each step and where it's going to take you, and trusting that it's going to get you to where you want to go. Okay, so last one, if you are feeling overwhelmed because you're like, too many options, I have no idea what out of these would be good. Here's where I see people getting stuck and, kind of not being able to get out of the overwhelm. One is perfectionism. So putting so much pressure on yourself that your choice has to be perfect, that you have to be able to choose the very best, the most right, most perfect next step. And that is so much pressure on yourself and on your journey and this next decision, right? I don't think there is any perfect step, right? Each step is a part of a bigger piece of the puzzle. And so making yourself feel like this has to be the exact perfect, most right, oftentimes leads to overwhelm and stress, and people just stay stuck. The other thing I see is people have felt like they didn't make good decisions in the past, or they, look at where they currently are and they're feeling like, well, I made the decision to get here and I'm not happy, or this isn't, working out. How am I to be trusted to make a decision about my next step? And so there's this lack of trust in self that you can make good decisions, that you can actually get yourself on a path towards your goals and your dreams. And, I think oftentimes that keeps people stuck and keeps people in overwhelm because they don't have trust in themselves or in, an ability to make good decisions about moving forward. So here's the shine bright answer to that. It's about looking at your career as a journey. Right? It's not just about this next step. If we can zoom out and look at the full picture, we can see that this next step is just one step in a bigger picture, in a bigger journey, and that there's many twists and turns in a long career. There's many failures and there's many successes, right? And it's all about, with each step that you take, you learn more about what you want, what you don't want, right? You gain more information, you gain more connections, you are exposed to new things and new people and new experiences, and you take all that, and if you're doing the work, if you're self-reflecting, if you're paying attention to what feels best to you, to what you're being pulled towards, to where the energy is flowing, that with each step, you're going to get closer. You're going to get closer to what you want, closer to your life's purpose, closer to what you may call your passion, and a recognition that the path is the way, right? The destination is elusive, right? Because oftentimes we get to the destination and we're like, great, but Now what, right? So it's about letting yourself be in process, letting yourself learn and grow and take in new information. And with each step, you are more intentional, you take more informed, and as you do that, you begin to build your trust in yourself. You begin to believe that you can trust that you're going to move yourself in a direction that's going to be right for you. And you start to begin to feel that the energy is flowing and shifting. Synchronicities happen, doors start opening, success comes more easily. But we need to be patient, right? Sometimes that doesn't happen right away, but it's about seeing that bigger picture, recognizing you're in a journey, and there's going to be lots of twists and turns to that journey. Okay, some tactical things too. So if you recognize that you're in overwhelm, you need to take care of yourself before you do anything else, because as we talked about in the beginning, when we are in a state of overwhelm, our nervous system is so dysregulated that we actually are unable to take action, to be able to think clearly or strategically. And so the first step when we find ourselves in overwhelm is self-care. And, self-care gets a bad rap, but it's a really important piece of making sure that you can recenter, you can regulate your nervous system so that you can actually make really good decisions and think clearly and take action that's really aligned and intentional. So a few things. One is just first to recognize I'm overwhelmed, right? The stress has led to a space of overwhelm. I need to take a pause. I need to take a break. I need to take care of myself right now. So first step, recognition, pause. And then there's a ton of things you can do. Just a few examples, breath, right? So connecting to your breath. I like the box breath. You can Google that. Just really slowing your breath down, right? Feeling it go through your body, feeling it expand your lungs, sometimes doing a heavy sigh to kind of release any energy, just coming back to the present moment, connecting and feeling your breath. Movement, exercise, dance, getting outside, nature, shifting the energy, moving the energy, getting it unstuck, right, can help to release anything that's kind of that stress that's been building that led to the overwhelm. Shift your focus, right? So oftentimes what leads to overwhelm is we're like stressed, and we're not paying attention, and we're just like going down this hole, and then we're just like done, right? Depleted, exhausted, burned out. Noticing when the overwhelm is starting to set in, shift focus. And what can be great is, do you have a task at hand, whether it's something around the house or a project at work, or even just like helping a friend, anything that has a beginning and an end that you can, do quite quickly allows us to feel productive. Even just, there's a lot of folklore around just like making your bed in the morning, right? It's something where you can do, where you can see the end result, right? A perfectly made bed feels like, ooh, yay, okay, I did that, right? It feels small, but these small little actions where you feel productive, where you can bring something to completion, you can help someone, you can take care of something around the house, it boosts our confidence, helps us to feel a little bit more productive, which can then fuel our ability to go back to the bigger, more complex questions or problems or, things that we're, grappling with in the moment. And then lastly, you don't have to do this alone. So oftentimes when I'm talking to clients at the beginning, they've reached a point of overwhelm where they're really struggling to get out of it themselves and they need support. And that's all of us, at different phases in our life, we need some extra help. And so this could look like a therapist. This could look like working with a coach, right? Someone who can walk with you, that can help you to create a plan, that can, walk you through the steps of gaining clarity, of being able to come back to yourself, setting intentional and aligned goals, and then what's the roadmap. You don't have to figure this out on your own. There's lots of support out there, and so don't be afraid to reach out. So, okay guys, overwhelm, it happens to all of us. Those are some reasons why I think people get stuck there, what's not working, and a few things that I've seen over my 10 years of coaching people to career happiness that can actually elicit some clarity, that can get you unstuck and start moving you forward. So hope it was helpful. If you liked the video, hit like and please subscribe, and we'll drop new videos each week. So thanks for being here. Take care.